Hello everyone, I'm CoolGuy, welcome back. Today's review takes a look at the new dawnblade exotic helmet in Beyond Light, Dawn Chorus, and after working with it, I'm really liking it for PvE and the Crucible. This helmet makes bottom tree dawnblade's Attunement of Flame a viable pick, and I'm going to go over usage, mod setups for both PvP and PvE. There's a certain way you should run it to bring out the best of bottom tree dawnblade, but I'm not sure if that's a good thing because you have to be very specific about it. But before we do, especially around the holidays, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, our friends over at Surfshark VPN. One of the biggest things for me is that it's the only privacy product that allows unlimited simultaneous devices. I have it on my desktop, my phone, on my router for my consoles. You can have it on as many devices as you want. Surfshark encrypts your data and keeps it safe. It hides your true IP address when browsing the web, accessing content, and gaming. It protects you from data theft, tracking, surveillance, commercial targeting. It hides your IP address in Discord. It's extremely user-friendly. It sets you up with the quickest server. And the servers are really nice. The server location nearest to me is actually a fiber connection. It works as an app or a browser extension. It allows you to place your laptop or phone anywhere in the world and lets you access the internet as if you're in that country. So for Netflix, you can change to the UK, to the US, US to the UK. There's about 15 different Netflix libraries out there to go out and explore. And with being able to change the location, true story, I have YouTube TV for my cable, and with YouTube TV, it shows local channels for where you are. Last week, there was a football game out of my area that I wanted to watch, so I turned on Surfshark, changed my location close to the city of the team playing. YouTube TV asked me if I was traveling, I said yes. Changed the location, and it gave me the guide for that city, and then I watched the game. YouTube videos and even Twitter videos that aren't available in your country, you can just change your location with Surfshark and you're able to view them. And what's great for us gamers is that you can game in full privacy and security. That includes hiding your IP in Discord as we discussed, but it also protects you from being a target of a DDoS attack. That's a big one. Protection is key, and they still have a great deal for us, and it's got better. Use my code CoolGuy to get 84% off plus 4 extra months free. There's a link down below right at the top of the description, and if for whatever reason you're unhappy, they do back a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out for yourself. I love this VPN, and I hope you guys get behind Surfshark as they've gotten behind me. It's a really good deal that they have for us. The real thing that we're going to dive into with Dawn Chorus, is it enough to pull you away from stasis? Is it enough to draw you away from top tree dawnblade, from Well of Radiance? You can get this helmet as a drop chance when you solo the 1250 or 1280 Lost Sectors. When the helmet comes up for that day, always be paying attention because the armor piece and Lost Sector location rotate. The exotic perk for Dawn Chorus is Rites of Ember. Your daybreak projectiles cause targets to burn on contact and deal more damage to them. All of your burn effects last longer, and you gain a small amount of melee energy each time one of your burns damages a target. We have a super part of it, but also a neutral game aspect to this helmet. Top Tree Dawnblade has the Dawnblade Super. Aside from that, there's nothing else you can use this helmet for. Middle Tree Well of Radiance has Guiding Flame. Strike an enemy with this melee to inflict burn damage and empower yourself and nearby allies. Other than that, this is all this helmet can help with. But Bottom Tree, this is going to be the main focus for this exotic. Fated for the Flame Daybreak, the better Daybreak Super because it seeks targets and it pairs with Everlasting Fire. Killing an enemy with Daybreak extends its duration. Always been a top tier PvE super, but it's always lacked single target damage. We'll get into that. But the tree also has Igniting Touch. Strike an enemy to burn them and cause targets to explode. And for your grenade, out of the options, the solar grenade is what you want to pair with this because it does apply burn. The fusion and firebolt do not. With the artifact and how this tree performs, it's very good when we start talking about mods. It's so good. Now, I made a video not too long ago talking about this bottom tree, how it has potential to Sleeping Giant. And talking about this tree, I talked about the main thing that it needed. It needed something to help burn because that's what the entire sub is about. It needed something like Touch of Flame from D1, and that made it to where all grenades ignite enemies to burn them, or Viking Funeral from D1. That perk stated that any enemies that you ignite burn on take more damage from all sources. It stacks up to 3 times. Now, in D2, it has something like this, but not fully like this. We'll get to that too. Let's start with the burn and it giving back melee energy. I have the same power here, 1267 for all this. After the melee, the base burn does 243 5 times. So 1215 total damage just with the burn, and then the melee is gone. But with Dawn Chorus on, it ticks 17 times, and if you notice, I have 4 out of 10 strength, so even at 4 strength, all those ticks of burn damage will refill the melee charge. And at this point, it's worth noting Middle Tree Well of Radiance. The only thing that works on that tree is the melee, because it ignites burn. This means on majors, ultras, enemies that can take that full duration of the burn, you can keep hitting them with empowered melees, and once that burn is over, you're gonna have the charged melee again. You can hit them with it, become empowered to get that 20% more damage a fair amount of the time. With Bottom Tree, the melee final blow is a combustion. It's kind of like Bloom. It's going to spread out, and on the outer edges of that combustion, it will catch fire to enemies that are there. And all those enemies are going to be counting as burn ticks to get that melee down. To go with the melee, we have the Solar Grenade. The Solar Grenade works a little bit different. It does ignite enemies on fire, but it doesn't have longer burn, if that makes sense, but it does do burn damage. It doesn't do, let's say, the 17 ticks that the melee does, but it does inflict burn. That's okay though, because the burn ticks that it does do does give the melee back. And it's worth noting that they don't stack. You can't melee a target, then throw a solar grenade and try to double up to get that melee quicker. It's just a slow, steady upkeep to get that melee back. But since this melee is up a lot, it is worth it to put on impact induction. I do believe so. This is gonna be on your gloves. Causing damage with your melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. That way you can help the grenade move along just like you're moving along the melee. From a neutral game standpoint, these play off of each other really well. You're setting areas on fire, and since you're doing that, I do recommend Wrath of Rasputin and Global Reach to be top choices to pair this with in PvE. Wrath states that solar splash damage final blows have a chance to create Warmind cells, and Global Reach makes the explosion go a further distance and do more damage. Then on top of this, you can run an Ikelos weapon like the SMG, but even if you don't, you can create a lot of cells between the solar grenade and the melee. And with these two things, think about your solar burn activities. Think about solo loss sectors. On the class item, you can run thermal overload. It's where solar grenades can cause disruption, and then Surge Eater, recharge that grenade after you disrupt them. There are a lot of uses as a solo player. So let's get into the super. Bottom Tree Dawn has always been top tier ad clear, but it's always lacked single target damage. With Dawn Chorus, in the end, it is more damage than a Celestial Nighthawk, but it's doing it over time. It's longer to do, whereas the Nighthawk is just massive chunk damage at one time. Dawn Chorus Dawnblade is also more damage than a Chaos Reach Geomag. This super, and if you run this exotic for the Crucible or PvE, I do recommend you run high intellect, as high as you can, 9, 10 most of the time. You want to be max, because you want to be in this super. Aside from a specific champion build using Surge Eater, Thermal Overload for those overload champions, you want to be running Berserker. And all of these come from the artifact. When your super ends, you gain a temporary bonus to weapon damage. The duration and strength of the bonus increased is based on the number of combatants you defeated while in the super. Like right here, I get a damage boost ×4 for 1 minute 8 seconds after I'm done with Dawnblade. The damage boost is 35% more, and that matches like the highest buff you can get. It's the same as Weapons of Light from the bubble. And the 35% that you get does not stack, but when you break it down, you're doing massive ad clear, easy ad clear, creating orbs, getting super energy back. If you find a major or an ultra, you can lay into them with the actual Dawnblade instead of doing ad clear. Then come out of it with over a minute of 35% more damage on all your weapons. It's really good. Then you pair that with a weapon like Bad Juju and also has String of Curses. You can pair it with a weapon that has Thresh, so you get that super back quicker. Using that 35% damage buff to get your super quicker, it's really nice. Aside from ad clear, let's get into single target damage. It's substantial. The regular Dawnblade without the exotic will hit, and that's it. There's no burn, nothing. It's just the same hit over and over. It's quite pitiful. You can throw out 8 Dawnblades. But with Dawn Chorus on, it adds the burn. But the more that you land, once the target is taking burn damage, the Dawnblade hits yellow numbers that's increased damage because of the helmet, and at the end, it ramps up and ramps up to eventually deal just a little bit over 200% more damage than base. It's a lot. It's a single target shredder. But to get to that 200% more than base, and have a couple blades at the end doing that damage, you can actually land a melee to start the burn on your target, then pop the Dawnblade, and your first hit is going to be yellow numbers, and you're already starting to ramp it up to that cap. And what's really cool, check this out. We took it into the raid, and earlier I said that it has something similar to Viking Funeral. And again, Viking Funeral stated enemies that you ignite burn damage to take more damage from all sources. But with this helmet, there is one source it does buff. It's other Dawnblades. So if only one Dawnblade has Dawn Chorus, it will buff all other Dawnblades' damage around it. So those Warlocks could be running Luna's, Necrotic Grip, whatever, their Dawnblade is getting the higher damage. And we had 2 running Dawn Chorus because one of us just needs to start the burn. The burn needs to be there. And from a friend's point of view, one that didn't have the helmet on, they're getting those yellow critical numbers. And the end result is the Dawnblade shot for a chorus user is doing a total of 77,538 per hit, and not having the helmet on does 61,313. And the difference is the helmet doing more damage because of the burn, it's adding that in, and the non-Dawn Chorus user is just getting the buff to the Dawnblade. But even with me missing a couple shots and others missing, I'm sure that in 1 out of 3 total phases here, you can take away half health. It's a good chunk of damage when everyone's doing it, and then you still have Anarchy, you still have your slug shotguns, and 2 more phases. And if you do try this with friends, we did it on bottom tree. I would actually do top tree because you're gonna be close to the target, and when you get popped out, you can just Icarus dash right back in. For mods, at the core, I would be running Berserker with 2 Warmind mods. Again, Wrath and Global Reach. The final 2 is going to be up to you. Maybe taking charge, and then something for your weapons. Maybe you can also go with another Warmind cell like Power of Rasputin. You get bonus weapon damage against enemies that are near Warmind cells. So you're going to be creating them. They're just going to be flying on the ground wherever they fall, and the enemies that are close, when you shoot them, you're going to deal more damage to. All in all, Dawn Chorus really elevates Dawnblade. It is worth an exotic slot. It has its place over well at times. It's really good for the solo player, and in team play, it's an ultimate ad clear. For the Crucible, the mods change up a little bit, and I want to be clear here. It's a very specific playstyle. You would be using this for the super first and foremost. It's very good. You want to have 10 intellect, 9 intellect, but with the helmet, it actually has a neutral game now. And for this neutral game to work, you need to be landing melees and landing solar grenades on players. Get the burn going. When you do that, there's a really good upkeep on those abilities. And you also have Phoenix Dive. It's basically built-in worm husk to snag a little health and start your regen, so you don't need to pop a rift. For PvP, the base melee damage does 100, and then you get 5 ticks of burn at 6 damage, so it's 130 damage. While with Dawn Chorus on, instead of it burning 6 times, it burns 8, so it jumps from 130 to 148 for the total melee. And a lot of times I've noticed it is worth a tie, at least sometimes. That whole time that they're burning, you're getting that melee back. And the solar grenade doesn't make them burn any longer, but it does give that melee energy. The only 2 important things that I recommend are 1, impact induction, because that way when you land a melee, you get some grenade energy back. When you land that melee and do the burn, or land a solar grenade and get the burn, that's getting the melee back in no time. You get it all the time. So when you actually land that charged melee, you're helping the grenade. And the second one is Berserker. We talked about it. You're using it for the super, and you want to get it fast with high intellect. You come out, do massive damage, come out with a ×4 damage boost for 45 seconds or so. It's very strong. The rest of the mods charge with light, and that could be taking charge, swift charge, high energy fire, stacks on stacks. You can also do hands-on for the helmet or something like that. Something to play off the grenade in the melee. But really, Top Tree Dawnblade has Icarus Dash. It has the ranged melee. It has a very specific playstyle to it. It's very strong. Bottom tree, with more burn, the Phoenix Dive, the super, I'm not gonna say it's better than top tree, it's just different. You can do big plays with both of them, and you give players a hard time burning them. The melee will collateral with the helmet more often, because if 2 players are close, it's either just gonna flat out collateral them, or they're gonna catch on fire and you're gonna burn them out. You know, if you're an aggressive player with a shotgun or even like a sidearm, you like getting some shots in, knee sliding and going for melee final blows, enemies that are grouped together, it's not a good look for them. It's something you're gonna have to play with. If that's a playstyle you like or you want, for some people, no, and I understand that. And then we have Stasis, and you probably have a really good idea already of what that's bringing. All in all, it is a great exotic. There have been a lot of duds for the Warlock. This, Necrotic Grip are great, they're amazing, especially coming from the Spurs, which do have a place. But overall lackluster. And remember the Stormcaller's Storm Dancer's Embrace? Yeah, me either. Not really. Dawn Chorus is refreshing to use because of the bottom tree playstyle, because of the burn. In PvE, it holds its own. It takes the one gripe of that super not doing good single target damage and elevates it. It's a good one. And in PvP, it's a really fun playstyle to play. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button, and if you are subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about Dawn Chorus below. What are your thoughts on it? Thank you for watching, and until the next one, I am CoolGuy.